In this video, we will learn about the sense of sight, particularly the anatomy of the eye. Among the senses, vision or the act of seeing is the most studied. The field of science that deals with the study of the eyes and their disorders is ophthalmology. We now look at the external anatomy of the human eye. The adult eye is spherical and it measures about 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters in diameter. However, only the anterior 1/6 of the eye's surface is normally seen. This is because the rest of it is enclosed and protected by a cushion of fat and the walls of the bony orbit. This picture shows the surface anatomy of the eye and the accessory structures. The accessory structures, which include the eyebrows, eyelids, eyelashes, conjunctiva, lacrimal apparatus, and extrinsic eye muscles, protect, lubricate, move, and help in the functioning of the eye. They are also involved in the production and removal of tears. Let's take a look at the eyebrows first. The eyebrows are a collection of hairs found above the orbits. Their major function is to prevent sweat from running down the forehead into the eyes and irritating them. They also help shade the eyes from direct sunlight. The eyelids or palpebrae is a continuation of the skin. Together with the associated lashes, they act like windshield wipers, removing dust and debris, thereby protecting the eyes from foreign objects. The eyelids are separated from each other by the palpebral fissure, and the angles where the eyelids join at the lateral and medial margins of the eye are called canthus or commissure. The medial canthus contains a small, reddish-pink mound called the lacrimal caruncle. It contains sebaceous and sweat glands that produce an oily, whitish secretion that also lubricates the eye. These secretions contribute to the gritty deposits that sometimes appear after a good night's sleep. An object that suddenly approaches the eye causes the eyelids to blink rapidly. This blink reflex protects the eye from the entry of foreign materials that may irritate or damage the eye. Blinking also spreads tears over the eye's surface, which helps keep the eye lubricated. It normally occurs about 25 times per minute. Skeletal muscles cause the eyelids to move. The orbicularis oculi muscle closes the lids and the levator palpebrae superioris elevates the upper lid. 2 to 3 rows of eyelashes are attached at the free edges of the eyelids. Modified sweat glands known as ciliary glands open into the follicles of the eyelashes to keep them lubricated. Inflammation of one of these glands causes the formation of a stye. A stye usually forms on the outside of the eyelid, but it can also form on the inner part. This inflammation usually disappears on its own in a couple of days. Tarsal or meibomian glands are sebaceous glands that are found near the inner margins of the eyelids. They produce sebum, which lubricates the lids and restrains tears from flowing over the margin of the eyelids. A chalazion or meibomian cyst occurs when the meibomian gland is blocked or infected. What is the difference between a stye and a chalazion? A stye or hordeolum is commonly found at or near the eyelashes, while chalazion usually occurs above the eyelashes on the upper lid. The conjunctiva is a delicate, thin, and transparent mucous membrane that lines the inside of the eyelids and covers the sclera or the white of the eye. The palpebral conjunctiva covers the inner surface of the eyelids, while the bulbar conjunctiva covers the anterior white surface of the eye. Secretions from the conjunctiva help lubricate the surface of the eye. Irritation of conjunctiva or its infection by bacteria or viruses leads to inflammation, a condition called conjunctivitis or pink eye. The most obvious sign is redness, which is due to the dilation of blood vessels deep to the conjunctival epithelium. Another structure of the eye is the lacrimal apparatus. The lacrimal apparatus consists of a lacrimal gland, paired lacrimal canaliculi or small canals, a lacrimal sac, and a nasolacrimal duct. The lacrimal glands are located above the lateral end of each eye. They continually release tears at the rate of about 1 ml per day onto the anterior surface of the eyeball to moisten the surface of the eye, lubricate the eyelids, and wash away foreign objects. Most of the fluid produced by the lacrimal glands evaporate from the surface of the eye, but excess tears are collected into the lacrimal canaliculi. The opening of each lacrimal canaliculus is called a pontum. From the lacrimal canaliculi, tears move into the lacrimal sac, which drains into the nasolacrimal duct. The lacrimal secretions or tears are watery and slightly alkaline. They contain mucus, antibodies, and lysozyme, which is an enzyme that destroys bacteria before they enter the body. As tear increases substantially, it spills over the eyelids and fills the nasal cavities, causing congestion or sniffles. This happens when the eyes are irritated by foreign objects or chemicals in order to wash away or dilute the irritating substance. It also occurs when we are emotionally upset. There are 6 extrinsic eye muscles that are attached to the outer surface of each eye. These produce gross eye movements and make it possible for the eyes to follow a moving object. In this figure, we can see the lateral and superior views of the right eye. It also shows the different extrinsic eye muscles and their locations. The lateral rectus, located here, is responsible for moving the eye laterally. On the opposite side is the medial rectus, which moves the eye medially. This superior rectus elevates the eye and turns it medially or centrally, while the inferior rectus depresses the eye and turns it medially. The inferior oblique elevates the eye and turns it laterally, and the superior oblique depresses the eye and turns it laterally. We now proceed to the internal anatomy of the human eye. The eye itself, or the eyeball, is a hollow sphere. Its wall is composed of 3 tunics or layers, and its interior is filled with fluids called humors that help maintain its shape. The outer layer is known as the fibrous tunic. This is divided into 2 regions, the sclera and cornea. The sclera, or the white of the eye, covers most of the eye's surface. It serves as a tough, protective covering for the eye and provides for attachment of the extrinsic muscles. This central anterior portion of the fibrous layer is a crystal clear structure known as the cornea. It acts like a window through which light enters the eye. The cornea is well supplied with nerve endings. Thus, when it is touched, blinking occurs and tear production increases. The cornea is also the most exposed part of the eye, so it is vulnerable to damages. Fortunately, it has an extraordinary ability to repair itself. The cornea can be transplanted from one person to another, and because it does not have blood vessels, rejection is unusual. The middle vascular layer of the eyeball is known as tunica vasculosa, which has 3 regions: the iris, ciliary body, and choroid. The iris is a pigmented, flattened ring structure that is visible through the transparent corneal surface. It has a rounded opening, the pupil, through which light passes. The iris contains blood vessels, melanocytes, and 2 layers of pupillary muscles. When these muscles contract, they change the diameter of the pupil. The autonomic nervous system controls both muscle groups. For instance, in dim light, sympathetic activation causes the pupils to dilate, while in bright light, parasympathetic activation causes the pupils to constrict. The distribution and density of melanocytes in the iris determines the eye color. At its border, the iris attaches to the anterior portion of the ciliary body. Bulk of the ciliary body consists of the ciliary muscle, which is covered by numerous folds called ciliary processes. The ciliary zonule, or suspensory ligament, is the ring of fibers that attaches the lens to the ciliary processes. The choroid is a highly vascular, deeply pigmented layer of tissues behind the retina that separates the fibrous layer and the inner layer. This pigment prevents light from scattering inside the eye. The inner layer is called the retina. It consists of the pigmented layer and a thicker covering called the neural layer. The pigmented layer contains pigment cells that absorb light and prevent light from scattering inside the eye. They also remove dead or damaged receptor cells and store vitamin A needed for vision. The neural layer contains millions of receptor cells, the rods and cones, which are called photoreceptors because they respond to light. These photoreceptors are distributed over the entire retina except where the optic nerve leaves the eyeball, a site known as the optic disc. Since there are no photoreceptors at the optic disc, it results in a blind spot in our vision. When light from an object is focused on the optic disc, the object disappears from our view and we cannot see it. The rods allow us to see in dimly lit rooms, at twilight and in pale moonlight, and they provide our peripheral vision. They do not allow us to see colors. On the other hand, cones are active at higher light levels and are capable of color vision. Three types of cones are present in the retina: the blue, green, and red cones, which are sensitive to blue, green, and red lights respectively. Color vision results from the stimulation of various combinations of these three types of cones. The rods and cones are not evenly distributed in the retina. The rods are densest at the edge of the retina, and as you move towards the center, the density of rods gradually decreases. The highest concentration of cones occurs at an area called fovea centralis. The fovea centralis is the site of sharpest color vision. Light entering the eye is focused on the retina by the lens. The lens is a transparent, biconvex flexible disc that lies posterior to the cornea. It is held in place by the ciliary zonia. Its primary function is to focus the visual image on the photoreceptors, and the lens does so by changing its curvature. For instance, when you look at something nearby, the ciliary muscle surrounding the lens contracts, allowing the lens to relax into a more convex shape. Whereas when you are viewing distant objects, the ciliary muscle is relaxed and the lens is flatter because it is stretched in all directions. In youth, the lens is transparent and has the consistency of firm jelly, but as we age, it becomes increasingly hard and cloudy. Cataract, the loss of lens transparency, causes vision to become hazy and distorted and can eventually cause blindness. Other risk factors for forming cataracts include diabetes, frequent exposure to intense sunlight, and heavy smoking. Current treatment of cataract is either special cataract glasses or surgical removal of the lens and replacement with a lens implant. The lens divides the eye into two segments or chambers. The anterior or aqueous segment contains a clear watery fluid called aqueous humor, which helps maintain intraocular pressure or the fluid pressure inside the eye. Measuring intraocular pressure by an ophthalmologist gives an important picture of eye health and can find signs of optic nerve damage that might affect eyesight. The posterior or vitreous segment is filled with a gel-like substance called vitreous humor. This helps stabilize the shape of the eye and prevent the eyeball from collapsing inward by reinforcing it.